Welcome, fellow travelers, to another episode of the Never-Ending Adventure. I am Russell Tyndall, one of your co-hosts, and I'm here with...
DJ Netty P, as always.
As always. And we're talking about Season 3, Episode 4, Hitman this week. This is our 60th episode, which is about as exciting as it gets, man. That's pretty cool.
It's crazy, dude. If we really sit back and think about, the time we went going to studios and the time we spent on the computer, like we've put easily over 300 to 400 hours into this podcast and
thousands of dollars.
60,
thousands
of dollars. Maybe 500. Maybe 500.
It's all going to DJ Cowboy Hat. We're greasing his pockets, which kind of flows back into this episode. We're talking about Hitman, and we got the Scorcher coming in. And we got Ice King greasing his pockets about halfway or toward the end of this episode. We don't really need to skip that far in, but just figured I'd bring it back to what we're talking about. If you are a first-time listener, I've never listened or watched or seen anything about Adventure Time other than like an episode or two in Season 1 since it came out, really. And Ned is a long-time Adventure Time lover.
Long time. And the best part about it is I, even as a avid fan, will continue to literally dive into every episode and catch things that I've never seen, catch concepts I've never seen, think about things I've never thought about. And, it makes for a nicer ride than just watching the show for a 7th time through, like binge style,
Yeah. And anyone new, welcome. We are your traveling parents. Both of us are your mamas.
That's the creepiest way you could have put that possible.
Especially out of context.
I'm your traveling daddy.
Yeah, Season 2, Episode 1. That was a reference to Marceline's father. Anyways, he says, "I'm your mama."
I'm your mama.
But a segment we like to do sometimes whenever we have it available is the Traveler's Log. And this week we have 2 Traveler's Log emails to read. So we'll do that real fast and then we'll hop into the episode. Ned, do you want to kick off the first one?
Yeah, I got the first one. We have one from a Casey, and Casey has a note kind of about the way Russell watches the show. And she says, love the podcast. The dynamic of the first time viewer mixed with someone who's watched it through several times is a great idea. Wanted to write in that Russell's theory about PB having Finn's DNA back from the episode where Finn gets the smart glasses and he has all the spit bubbles that he hands over to PB and she has his DNA. Russell had a theory about PB cloning Finn because now she has a DNA. But then Casey also says, although she doesn't clone him from the spit, she does clone him to create Stormo in the Goliad episode, which is really cool. So there is a reference to PB meddling in the DNA cloning world.
Interesting.
So it's really cool that actually one of our travelers caught Russell's theoretically speaking and applied it to a future episode and was like, hey, like he is technically right. So she Casey, you hit it on the hammer on the head there for sure.
I can't believe someone's listening that close to a stupid podcast that we do. It's not stupid. We love you guys. But
wonderful podcast. It should be the most listened to podcast on Spotify at this point,
I want it to be. All right, well, let's hop into that James fella sent us a traveler's log about episode 56. I believe that's NEA 56. I'm not sure what we were talking about there, but I think it's toward the end of season 2. He says, hello, I've been meaning to email the Traveler's Log for a while now since it was created back, I guess that was season 1. I'm not really sure when that was.
Yeah, you hit it at the end of season 1.
Yeah, I just want to say that how awesome this podcast is. This just sounds like we're tooting our own horns, Ned. These aren't really emails.
I know. I'm just lubing myself up over here.
Oh, gosh. You guys really nailed the vibe, except for what Ned just said. I reached out to Russell on Instagram when I first started listening and catching up, and I absolutely say this is one of my favorite podcasts, go-to podcasts. On to a couple things about the latest episode. So when Ned mentioned Princess Bubblegum being able to hang, but also scheming behind the scenes, I don't think those two things have to be separate. she can kick it while also hatching potentially morally ambiguous plans, right? And I agree. She definitely can. She can be scheming. People do it all the time when you feel like you gotta. And she doesn't even have to be a fake friend. She could be a real friend and yet still have kind of an end goal, which is I don't love it.
Yeah, I think I will still stand behind my statement on that with just like the somewhat ulterior motives, especially through the early seasons. I'm sure that a lot of people give PB some credit because she becomes a little bit more of a real character later on in the seasons, especially when Gumball's introduced, especially when she becomes a little bit more humanized and loses control of the world that she's created. So I still stand behind that. The scheminess behind it is still wigs me out. It's totally possible. Like I don't discredit you. I think we all do that to some degree in a lot of our work and life situations, you know. Yeah. But with PB, you know, it's kind of like the hangness with Finn, and then you know that she's like, is she doing a science experiment on him, or does she actually want to hang with him? Like, and that's where I always like.
There's so many elements that bother me. Well,
the flirtation mixed with like the mad scientist is usually means for at least the immediate next couple of seasons, there's some ulterior motives involved.
Yeah. That James fella goes on to say, another thing I wanted to mention is that Ice King is the literal and absolute worst this season, talking about season 2. Yeah. I'm standing with Russell on this one. Sorry, Ned. While I obviously adore Simon and love the whole storyline, it's hard to form words about how much I despise his actions. This goes back to what I mentioned earlier. I think it's okay to feel two ways about a situation. I got mad respect for him, just hate him and his character development stage. Thanks so much for talking about a show that I've loved for years. You guys are awesome. Keep up the good work. That James fella.
Yeah. Good thought, James. I mean, it's really good thought in my opinion, because that's exactly how I feel about How I Met Your Mother. There are seasons where I understand the character development of Ted and I freaking hate it. And there's seasons where I understand the character development of Robin, but I hate her, you know? And so I think there is maybe, you know, something to say about character development and then going through a season where you're like, that was so bad that, you know, it was so crucial for it to happen, but it was so bad.
And talking about someone who's like there, but also manipulating things, Lily from How I Met Your Mother.
Exactly.
Is like the ultimate of that. She is the pinnacle of being a friend, but she has like her own interior motives where she's like forcing, I mean, spoilers, I guess, for that show. Like,
oh, yeah, gosh,
breaking up.
Spoiling How I Met Your Mother for everybody.
With Ted and all his relationships, if they don't fit the image that she sees in her head for their friendship. It's ridiculous.
She totally sucks that season, even though she's like one of the more likable characters on the show.
Yeah.
So but that's why I say, James, good point to saying, although you appreciate the entire character development arc, it's really still, to Russell's point, can 100% be the most punchable character in the episode.
Yeah, totally. Well, let's get into this now. Let's get into Hitman. We're talking the Breakfast Kingdom. This is a new kingdom for us. What are your vibes on the Breakfast Kingdom?
Well, I did take a moment. It took me the second time watching it to realize I'd paused on the scene where it showed the outside of the Breakfast Kingdom. It's in the middle of the desert, so it kind of gave me when they were tart-toting through the desert, and they had like oil drum, like
an oil rig kind of
spilling into the Breakfast Kingdom, but it was obviously syrup. So I was like, whatever. Maybe oil from the old world became pancake syrup during the Great Mushroom War. And I was like, that's kind of cool.
I wonder if it's kind of in the scope of the Candy Kingdom, because I guess because of Elf, I always combine syrup and candy together.
Exactly. Well, and it's something pasta. About, you know, the Candy Kingdom has sugar and candy as the lifeblood that, you know, the Breakfast Kingdom has syrup as the lifeblood.
Well, it felt weird to me because the Hot Dog Kingdom is the same thing where it's so small and there's only a couple people living in it. I don't really like the small kingdoms. I think I want them all to be like grand and gorgeous looking.
Well, you do learn in a later episode that the they have what is it called? It's like a conference of princesses, and it reminds you of like the weird like doctor conferences at hospitals. And the Breakfast Kingdom they host that conference in that episode. And they do contribute. They basically like send breakfast foods to all other kingdoms. So they do have a very important like economic aspect to the land of Oo. They have a trade aspect. So although they are small, they do play a part that's mentioned in the show about being the major exporter of like eggs and bacon and all that stuff.
Well, even though the outside of the kingdom kind of blows, the inside is amazing. The orange dripping juice or the oranges that are dripping juice from the ceiling just hanging down, a toast phone. Like there's so many little things about her bedroom, I guess is all we really saw of it, that I loved. I thought it was so cool. Even Allie, despite not eating breakfast ever, loved it. It wasn't the tops of the episode, but it was close. It was really cool. It had us debating if, for some reason, I don't know how we got onto this, but if Waffle House has egg and whole, which I guess, because technically that's what the Breakfast Princess is, right? An egg and whole. If Waffle has that on the menu or not, and I'm not sure if they do. It doesn't really matter.
I live in Georgia now, so I have ample chances to ask Waffle House if they can make that for me. So
love me some Waffle House.
Love me some Waffle House. If you haven't had Waffle House out there, you ought to find one. And there are like more Waffle Houses per people in Georgia, but most states have one or two, give or take.
Yeah, I had to introduce Allie to the Waffle House, and it is terrible and so great.
Next, Waffle House is my breakfast kingdom. Let's just say that.
Man, too many tangents. Can you guess what my sexy character is of this episode?
We're already on this intro topic, so I think you're going to say the baby breakfast princess.
Did you say baby?
Yeah, there's two breakfast princesses.
Ned, that's gross.
But I'm totally right,
gross.
aren't I?
No, you're not. No, the breakfast princess, not the toast princess.
Okay, is it
the breakfast princess?
But not. Is it your lovely?
Yeah, no, it's my sexy character. Yeah,
your sexy character.
Dude,
yeah,
nothing sexier than breakfast in bed.
I want to have your baby.
She got it going on for Adventure Time princesses in this universe. I think
so. Well, here's the issue. Allie brought up: does she expire?
Ooh, good question.
And that's kind of. It almost makes me want to take it back. It makes me want to not have her as my sexy character.
But she doesn't expire. Again, I think that brings back to my like lifeblood of the syrup. I don't know, something about the preservation, the sugar and preserving breakfast princess forever.
Well, preservation, dude. Ice King comes in there, super creepy, and he pours, instead of a love potion, honey onto a bagel, I think.
Yeah.
And that, man, I mean, honey's my love potion. So I'll put that on just about anything. And it just plays into the whole, she's my sexy character of the episode in a weird kind of a way.
You know what's funny that you mentioned that is that, I watched it through and it was like, Finn was like, no more love potions. He's like, that's why I used honey. And it was like, did he actually put any extra potion in the honey? Or did he just think that honey was like sweet and honey would make a woman fall in love with him?
Man, the Ice King he's speaking my love language. He's just speaking my love language. I love honey, man.
Yeah, I do love me some honey. That's for sure.
It's canonical. It was like 3/4 of my everything breakfast burrito that I made the other episode. Yeah,
when you made your everything burrito.
Everything burrito, that's what it was. But yeah, and then we go in and Finn grounds Ice King, and that brings a new weird dynamic between them. I guess Finn's forgiven him for his sins, if you will, from Mortal Folly episode.
Yeah. Well, you can tell
a different dynamic. That's
you
interesting.
can tell Finn and Jake are a little bit more on edge about Ice King after Mortal Folly, because like there were some episodes where Ice King might have been messing around and they may have taken it a little bit more lightly, but they bust in and they're ready to like bust him up like a cop, Yeah. And I think that is the byproduct of the end of season 2 with Mortal Folly, and they're like, no, we're not putting up with any more of your antics. We're grounding you. I just thought it was so funny. I love this interaction between Finn and Jake and the Ice King, is that they're like, you're grounded. And he's like, it all starts out with like, who are you? You can't tell me what to do. And the more he amps up the weeks, he's like, come on, I didn't do anything.
And his bubble butt at the end.
And this bubble butt at the end. Like, I would say, I'm not sure if that's my tops of the episode, but that whole interaction is pretty darn close.
It was pretty funny. I don't know why, but when Jake is holding up two peace signs.
Two peace signs, he's like, what's with the peace signs? And he's like, oh, no, sorry, I'm just telling you how many weeks you have.
It's like not even that funny, but that cracks me up. And I was like, you got 4 fingers, bro. Just, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It just made me laugh.
It was, it's a good, I think that's that Adventure Time subtle humor of like, nothing crazy is happening in this scene, but just like little weird life interactions like that, interacting with the Ice King being like, you're grounded, and then a peace sign interaction, and then calling him bubble butt. Like, that's a whole minute. That's 1/10 of the episode, if you think about it. And, and that's why it's kind of golden, you know?
Yeah, it's great. But it made me, I was going to ask you if you have ever been grounded or if you had any good grounded stories. And I assume that neither one of us really do, because we were lame as kids and were rule followers and didn't disobey our parents for fear of losing their pride in us. I could be wrong.
You know, that's the funny thing. I thought about this in this episode, and I was like, I don't think I ever was grounded, because I think that like my parents probably thought like just sending me to my room to go like play with my toys and like just go hang out by myself was not really a punishment, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, I could totally, I mean, to this day, I could probably sit alone in my room, even without my phone, and probably like entertain myself for a while, or like, you have to go read a book and be like, okay, this is cool. I might be doing that anyway. So like, why is this punishment? You know? So I never really was grounded. I did get my phone taken away a lot. You did get TV privileges taken away a lot. And that's kind of a similar like grounding situation. So
I guess. I mean, kind of low stakes there. I was so afraid of disappointing my parents that I mean, one time I was sent to my room and I think I cried. I was like 6 or something. But anyways, it led me to asking the travelers on our Instagram account. So if you're not following us there, go check us out on Instagram. If they had any funny getting grounded stories. And we got a couple responses. I'll read my 3 favorite, if that's cool.
Oh, yeah, please do.
Real fast. Code of Egress, which don't know what that means, and if it means something bad.
That is an Adventure Time thing.
Okay, cool.
I will just say that. They are an OG. I've seen them following us for a while. I love the Cult of Egress account. You guys run an awesome account. I love it.
Damn, big promotion. Cult of Egress said, I would say fart instead of the F word, but my parents didn't like that. Said fart too many times and got grounded for it. And I think that is pretty great.
I just hope that you said mother farter. That's all I'm hoping.
Mother farter.
I'm really hoping that that's what got you in trouble.
Yeah, I hope your parent was like, you done farted up, son. Or
you done
daughter, you done farted up. Anyways, so next we got King Sepe. I don't know, 756. SEPE 756. Let's see. I got grounded because at school, they caught me watching how to blow up a condom like a balloon in school, and they called my mom. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's embarrassing more than anything. Like if your mom gets called by the school and you're like looking up something like that. And also, why are you looking that up at school?
I would, if my kid did that ever, I would probably laugh and be like, go to your room. You're in trouble for getting suspended from school. You're not in trouble from me.
I think that's a good point. Yeah, inappropriate for the school. Chris P. Bacon says, I threw a fork into the sink from 5 feet away. I shot, and it sounded like an atomic bomb went off. So I'm guessing that was like the garbage disposal or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah,
interesting.
Still pretty
reason
wild,
to get grounded.
Not as bad as trying to poison princesses, though.
No, I still love the saying fart too many times and getting grounded for that. That's pretty great.
That is good. That is a good grounding story. So he gets grounded and he does go back to the Ice Kingdom, and he is actually taking it seriously, which I thought was really funny. So he's like, he knows he's not supposed to leave the Ice Kingdom because he'll get in trouble with, which I think is kind of sweet in the same time that like
it is. I feel indifferent about him, man. Is that weird? Like I'm cool
what do
with
you
the
mean?
Ice King right now.
You're cool with him?
I just feel, I guess I feel indifferent. I think that's a better way of putting it. It's okay. He's fine. He's doing his thing. I was really heated at the end of season 2. And at the moment, I'm just like, hey, it's Ice King. He can be funny sometimes. He can suck sometimes. But in this episode, he's just kind of the Ice King.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of the Nice King episode where Finn and Jake are kind of, he's not evil per se, but they are managing their relationship with the Ice King, and they're managing it from an arm's distance for sure. And that arm's distance is, hey, the Ice King's ridiculous. He's going to do ridiculous things. We don't have to beat him up every time we see him. We can just, mess with him. We can kind of just mess with him and say you can kind of tell Finn and Jake are messing with him too. Like they
I totally agree. They're putting up with him, but they're not, and they're not like mad at him. They're not really taking him seriously. They're like, just get out of here, Ice King. What are you doing? Like, you're grounded. Go home.
Yeah.
Sort of a vibe. Instead of, we're going to beat you up. We're going to, kick your butt.
Yeah, it's not like that, first season where it was just like every time you have an encounter, you're going to like get into some big fight. And that Ice King also, he considers Finn and Jake his buddies. And I think he, at his core, is still really upset when his actions disappoint Finn and Jake. I think that does upset him. Because obviously them being, similar to getting grounded with your parents, you're not mad at your parents for being your parents. You're mad that you got in trouble, and you don't not love your parents. And that's why he wants to hit them. He's like, I just want to do something. I'm so angry. I want to just hit them.
He wants to hit them or hire a hitman. He doesn't know what a fireman is or a hitman in this episode.
He's like, I didn't hire a fireman. I hired a hitman.
I ordered a hitman, not a fireman. Like, the Scorcher. We'll just go ahead and introduce my lovely, the Scorcher.
Ooh, good lovely.
Give me some sugar, baby.
I dig the Scorcher. He's a creepy boy. He's a real creepy boy. But as his PC bio says, he's quick, quiet, and relentless. And in the first introduction of him, he comes in and Ice King comments on, oh, that was quick. Oh, you're real quiet. And then he relentlessly goes after Finn and Jake for the rest of the episode, even after Ice King kind of disappoints him and goes, oh yeah, I stopped the treehouse from burning down. He's great, man. I did the Scorcher. And at the end, he leaves that note. Did you look up what it says? I got it right in front of me.
Yes, I did. I did look up what it said. Do you want to read it or you want me to read it?
Yeah, I'll read it because I got little comments as I go through it.
Yeah, you read it. I've got 2 Reddit interpretations on different ways to phrase what he said. And then we can really dive into it.
We'll dive into it. Simple fly.
No, yeah, we're getting it. Anyways, get it, boy.
Yeah. Echoes of past events nudge the tiller on my present course. So essentially that means his past has led him to his present state of destruction. And then it goes on to read, I await its reflection in the future, or so essentially karma, or otherwise put, he will meet his own destruction in the future.
Yeah.
It's like, it reminds me of the Tart Toter, the old Tart Toter. It's that same kind of deep meta awesomeness,
At least, I mean, I can say this one at least makes a little bit more sense than the Tart Toter. The Tart Toter was a little bit harder to interpret. And I think it's supposed to be a little bit more like transcendental. You're on acid, like, it's like you've lost your mind. And this is a little bit more of like maybe why he's quiet and relentless and he doesn't talk much is that he, here's 2 great other like people. There was like a good Reddit thread where I read into what people kind of interpreted this as meaning in maybe a little bit more understandable, less poetic English. Where it was like, what I've learned from my previous experiences shall guide me in deciding what I do in the present. I'm ready for things that will happen to me. That was one. It was my lesser of these 2.
Similar to what I said, really.
The other one was past memories haunt me and have melded me into this reaper. My experiences have set me on this path of death. I know that as a consequence, it's only a matter of time until I meet the reaper myself. And I was like, that's a pretty good one, man.
That's
like,
even better. I like that.
He has become the thing that he knows will destroy him. You know, I thought that was a really cool interpretation of that.
Yeah. It's no wonder he's my lovely of this episode. He even has the way he looks is kind of Shishio-esque from Rurouni Kenshin, where he's all bandaged up and he's got flame abilities. Is he from the Fire Kingdom?
No. So that is what I had my theoretically speaking of this episode.
Theoretically speaking.
And it's nothing that it gets answered, but I believe if we have already seen a city of thieves in Adventure Time, I think there's a city of hitmen. And that would that. I think it's out there because he's super Boba Fett-esque. He is like the bounty hunter, quiet Boba Fett of Ooh.
If he's Boba Fett, then the Blasternaut is the stormtroopers that can't hit anything with their lasers.
Exactly. Yeah. It's perfect analogy for it, which leads me to my lovely of the episode, which was the little goblin that lived in the Blasternaut.
Oh, okay.
That was my lovely
Blasternaut.
The fact that him and Ice King have this really funny moment of eye contact because the goblin is completely naked. And he kind of has this little expression of embarrassment and then jumps away. I was like, I couldn't give that little goblin, I could not give him my lovely.
That's funny. Dude, Ned, did you look, there's someone got hit in the Boingloings.
The Boingloings.
Boingloings. Someone got hit in the commercial Boingloings.
In the commercial Boingloings. We're going to Boingloing right into this commercial.
Boingloing. This week is brought to you by Meat Man's Man Meat. Ned, have you ever felt iron deficient?
Yes.
Need a break from dieting and low-fat foods?
Yes.
Ever craved meat?
Every day.
From a man?
Oh, I love meat in my mouth.
Well, Meat Man's Man Meat can fill you right up. It's 100% organic, all man meat from a meat man for men. Ned, I know you've been partaking in Meat Man's Man Meat once a week for the past month. Can we mark you off as another satisfied customer?
Oh, I'm a satisfied customer that has 2 full hands of man meat every day.
Meat Man's Man Meat. Get stuffed.
Welcome back, travelers. That was a great ad, man. Meat Man's Man Meat. I love that.
Oh, just tooting our horn more this episode.
No. We usually
Ned was impressed with my writing. I think he enjoyed that
one. I was. I feel like a lot of times when you script too much humor, it gets a little. No,
sometimes.
And that was.
I think it just depends on how I read it.
Yeah, it's getting better. If we go back to Russell's scripted humor from season 1, I think Russell has for sure gotten funnier in the last year, for sure.
Now, do you think it hurts Meat Man when he gives us his meat?
I think so. I think it really does, because whatever dream that Jake had, and when he's staring off into the sunrise with his blanket, like I could imagine that he knew initially that it hurt Meat Man.
Randy Corn, don't eat him. Meat Man, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean that, man.
Meat Man, I'm sorry. I was going to say, that was, I think the Meat Man side story might be my tops of this episode.
It's mine too. Easily the tops.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. That was such an obscure top to the episode. I didn't know if you'd even think twice about it, but the weird little Meat Man side story had to have been the funniest part of this episode.
And Jake later says, I had a dream about Meat Man. I think I gotta stop eating Meat Man. It's why I had to make the commercial about man meat. It's so good.
It is
best part of the episode for sure. I wanted to ask, so you're a routine kind of a guy in my mind, at least with your mornings. You used to tell me that you'd wake up and watch Adventure Time. Not kidding. That is what Ned used to do. He'd wake up early, way before work, and then watch Adventure Time. Sounds like I'm selling you as a co-host. What is your coffee routine now?
It is definitely wake up. I'm a breakfast first thing person.
Okay.
When I'm in a good routine, it's oatmeal every day. When I'm in a bad routine, I crave something super salty. So I understand breakfast meat. I understand. I want not a breakfast burrito. I want a full on Chipotle burrito first thing in the morning. That's what my body craves.
Man, I want to have those Jake the dog coffee vibes in my life. Like once I get a porch out front, I just want to sit in like a rocking chair.
Morning
and
vibes.
That sounds so good. Do that for like 20 minutes, just thinking my own thoughts or watching Good Mythical Morning or something like that. If that's my future, I'm super cool with that.
Yeah, I need to just do that more and just like go outside in the mornings. Get like the morning breeze, the time between 7:30 and 9 a.m. is probably my favorite time of the day, just to be outside in general.
I'm not a morning person, but I totally agree. When you get up and you get moving in the morning, I've never regretted doing it. I've only regretted laying in bed for another hour or two and hitting snooze. But I do that every day. But on the rare occasion that I do get up, I've never regretted doing it. I'm working on it. I've got a wellness tracker, like a Excel spreadsheet that I'm working on right now. And 2 of the columns are, did I go to bed on time? Did I wake up on time? And I'm just trying to hold myself more accountable and also track my coffee intake, how it affects my anxiety, my acid reflux, everything, just everything essentially.
I gotcha. But so you're saying though, for that routine, like maybe there should be a column for like, did I have a meat man contemplation type of morning?
I like that.
Did I have my moment of self-reflection this morning from the dreams I had the night before?
Yeah, my normal morning, if I could get into routine, it used to be wake up, have half a bagel or a protein bar and go to the gym and just knock that out. Because when you work out early on, it just gives you that vibe like I did something productive today already. And you just know I'm competitive or maybe it's just my ego speaking here, but I just know that like a lot of people aren't doing that, including myself most of the time. So when I do it, I'm like, yeah, I got a leg up today. I'm killing it.
Yeah. I'm going to be, once I get myself, actually routinely after both of the times I've moved, I've ended up in seasons of incredible laziness because like moving is such an intense process that I get super lazy, but I need to get back to my meat man type of mornings where.
Yeah, you got it. You'll get there.
I'll get there. But I'm with you, man. The super tops of the episode, just the whole meat man side story. Loved it.
Well, you actually wanted to talk about something else when we came back in, and I kind of took that over.
Yeah, I did. Well, I just wanted to talk about we ended on Boingloings and just not passing over that moment as being probably one of literally just based on TikTok and Instagram comments. This is a quote in a moment that apparently resonates with a lot of fans, a lot more than I thought it did until we started entering into somewhat of an influencing Adventure Time universe,
I didn't really get it at first. I mean, I by that I mean it didn't seem funny to me until the 3rd or 4th watch when I noticed that the hitman or the Scorcher was distracted by him saying that eventually. Nothing else distracted him, but Ice King was like, I'm going to sit on this one for a minute. I'm going to figure out if he's got that itch, to look.
In the original episode, the line was supposed to be somebody got hit in the nuts. And he was going to say hit in the nuts, but obviously that wouldn't fly with the Cartoon Network show. So they went with Boingloings, which I thought kind of makes the moment even better.
It does.
They are making a full-on somebody got hit in the nuts joke. And this was what we made a nod to a hit in the nuts joke when Marceline kicks Ash in the nuts. 2 episodes ago? 1 or 2 episodes ago.
I can't recall.
And I said that was one of the first times they introduced like nut kicking jokes. So again, now that we have our second one of season 3, we can kind of see the maturity of the writing already happening. They're already pushing the limit with the jokes in terms of what could be aired on Cartoon Network,
Yeah. That's surprising to me that that's such a favorite of the fandom.
It is, yeah. It is one of the tops in terms of like fandom quoting moments is the Boingloings.
See, and I even thought it was funnier. I thought what was funnier was when Ice King was negotiating with the Scorcher. He was like, "You can destroy my least favorite princess," and then LSP, and then Ghost Princess. That was like much funnier in my mind than when he was saying Boingloings. But
that was actually one of my runner-up tops of the show this week was when he's like, "Don't burn my love mitts."
Yeah.
I thought that
Yeah,
was I totally went over my head. Like one of the all these times I watched it, but he referred to his hands.
Yeah, he says, "I can't touch her with my love mitts."
With my love mitts.
Yeah, it's relatable. Go ahead, destroy LSP. No, I'm just kidding. She was great in the last episode or the first episode of the season. One or the other.
Well, it's so funny. I do think one of the best like running jokes in Adventure Time is that Ice King doesn't like LSP very much, and I think it's because awesome. They would do so well together.
Oh, like, you think so?
They would it'd be the similar. They'd be so similar together. They would just they would riff off each other. I'm sure that they would hold each other account. Like every time that Ice King's an asshole, like LSP would call him on it. And every time LSP would be an asshole, Ice King would call her on it. And
you've heard it here first. NEA podcast. Ned, Shippen, Ice King, and LSP.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
I honestly, it'd be like the most. I don't think anybody would like to be around them, but they would be good for each other.
Yeah. Is your right? Is that an LSP reference when you
No. That's I do this thing, guys. If you don't know, I do this thing when I go right. Oh, right. Like a very sarcastic right. It came from high school. It was something that some kids did to teachers to piss them off. The teacher would say something and they'd go, "Oh, right," and it was a very disrespectful thing to do, but it's funny.
I hate it.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Oh man.
But honestly, so we were getting to this point in the episode where we were finally on meeting Scorcher and everything like that. And we do have to say burns the treehouse down, or attempts to. Simon comes in and, Ice King. He's not Simon at this point. Ice King comes in. It's really hard for me not to do it when I start to see him in moments like this, and my mind goes to Simon.
Feels more Simon-y than Ice King-y, I guess.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at here. He has some epic powers. He does his, most of the time we've seen Ice King's like ice powers, like Finn and Jake are easily able to defeat them, right? He doesn't seem like a powerful person. He stops the treehouse from burning down. He does his icy winds to get whatever death spirit thing that Scorcher was trying to do.
I think it was just smoke. I think he turned himself into smoke and was going into their lungs and was going to suffocate them. Oh,
that makes sense. Because he's the Scorcher. That does make sense. But Ice King really puts on this facade of protection in this episode, and that he's really freaking good at it. Like, he has hired one of these black market hitmen to kill somebody, and pretty much all of his powers negate the Scorcher's like attempt to kill Finn and Jake, and Ice King does it almost.
I think it's a hindrance. Yeah, I think it's a hindrance though, because isn't in Pokemon? Maybe Pokemon logic shouldn't apply, but I think ice is weak against fire, so I think it's all temporary. I mean, even when he does the igloo, like it's melting. The Scorcher could have killed them when he freezes them at the end, despite Finn and Jake being like, "No, don't do that. You've been wrong this entire time. You've been attacking us. We don't trust you." And then he freezes both of them, and to like stop their pulse as much as possible, But
I think it's more like a little bit less of like a Pokemon.
Yeah,
like
I just think
ice
I say that just because
it's
bold. It's just so bold of him to go up against Scorcher and like punch him in the shoulder and tell him not to do certain things, even though he knows how relentless he is. And he even hires the hitman, the
Blastronaut.
A $100 hitman. I mean, that's a cheap hitman, man. You get what you paid for.
He's cheap. Yeah, he did get what he paid for there, because it was a very Samus-esque looking like hitman that got sliced in half very easily.
Mm-hmm.
But I continue. I'll make the nod to the fact that like Ice King, in his attempt to keep Finn and Jake safe, is when his powers come out like really strong.
That's true.
That, like, although Scorcher's hitting them with like balls of fire, and his like ice dome protects them. Icy winds, the snow out of his mouth, all of it is, it's like, and this is where I want to kind of hit the heartstring with my OG Adventure Time fans, is that it is a big nod to Simon that he shows his true colors when he's protecting people that he loves. And that he may be goofy, he may have wizard madness, he may try to hit on princesses, but when it comes to protecting those he loves, he's incredibly powerful. Stupidly powerful, to where, like you kind of mentioned, he's not even trying to fight Scorcher. He's just literally trying to hinder him. And he does it relatively effortlessly, you know?
Yeah, he's driven by the power of wanting to have someone like you a lot.
Have
somebody like you at all. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I totally agree. It seems that way. It seems like in this show, people's true power comes out when they are fearful for the people that they love, the people that they care about.
Yeah, and I
think see usually just Jake and Finn and back and forth, or vice versa, really. But in this episode, that's a good point. I mean, Ice King does go way out of his way and sticks up to the Scorcher and tries to save them when he realizes he messed up and he hired a hitman and not just a man that's going to hit them.
Yeah. And I think I think it's incredibly noble of Ice King too, in terms of just like protecting Finn and Jake. They were the ones that grounded him, and they continue to yell at him throughout the episode. And he could get madder and madder, and then just like he could end up at a point where he just didn't care. He'd be like, I'm literally trying to help you guys. I mean, even though it was his mistake, but he's literally just trying to help them the whole time. And they keep yelling at him because they're like, get out of here, Ice King, get out of here. He could have just taken a moment and been like, okay, I won't help you anymore, and like let Scorcher do his business.
Yeah.
But he's like, in his OG nature, he is a protector. And it really shows through here. And even the Ice Dome, to all my fans out there, reminded me so much of the Elements miniseries when we find the Ice Elemental and she's in an ice dome, in terms of protecting herself. And I think it's a nod to that he's got these super protective ice powers, and that he is one of the 4 elementals. He's super powerful, and that like we can't not think about how powerful he is. And I love it. And I don't know. I had a little rant there.
No, I dig it. Yeah.
Just the fact that even I couldn't help saying Simon at that point. And I was like, Simon wants to help them, because it makes you, when you go back and you rewatch this episode in this season, this is maybe one of the first times I've truly seen some Simon come out of Ice King in this episode.
Cool. I like it. Well, I'm going to note that. I mean, you mentioned earlier, what was the episode you referred to earlier? The Nice King.
Yeah.
I like this episode so much more than the Nice King. I think this shows such a more real, such a more cool side of the Ice King. I haven't fully forgiven him, anyone who's curious about that, but I like him in this episode. I think it's just, he's fine. He's cool.
Yeah, it's the beginning of the humanization of him, I think.
Cool.
In the Nice King, it showed you that he has a different side of just being the evil person, or the evil Ice King that only does ice things. The Nice King was like, he's evil, but he's also like scheming. And this is the first one that you realize he's annoying, and Finn and Jake are annoyed by him, but he's not evil. And I like that a lot.
Ned, I've got an interesting question for you, I guess.
Okay.
When the Scorcher uses the spirit bomb, essentially like a fire spirit bomb at the igloo, that's a Dragon Ball Z reference, I guess, if no one knows what a spirit bomb is, but they trip over the snail, which is on a stump.
Mm-hmm.
I know the stump didn't get there on purpose, but I keep spotting the snail ever since I realized that the lich was in the snail, or we saw that the lich was in the snail from Mortal Recoil. I keep wondering if that, like, stuff like that is on purpose, or what is up with the snail now. He's creeping me out. Every time he shows up now, I'm like, that's the lich, right? It's still the lich, isn't it?
I don't want to spoil too much.
Well, it's just weird. I mean, now it makes sense that he's in every episode because the Lich's just tracking him down.
The snail does come up again. And that's as much as I will spoil it for you. But now you're making me... I saw the snail in this episode, and I didn't think twice about it. But you are totally right that, like, if the snail ends up in every scene where they get tripped up or they lose something or they... get defeated by some, monster or something, that could be a great writer's point in the show that they are introducing the snail hidden in every scene where something wrong happens. And it could be kind of that like Lich influence thing.
It could be.
I love that. That's a great theory.
Well, right when they were going into the gladiator dome on whatever episode that was in season 3, I noticed it there too. He was right there. The snail was right next to the door, just kind of like greeting them to go inside.
He's like,
come on.
Yeah, like this is like he's trying to be the instrument of like Finn and Jake's demise, even as a weird snail.
Yeah, who knows? Ooh. But freaking,
right, now you're good. I'm glad you mentioned it because now I'm gonna watch all the next episodes and be looking for the snail and like what moment was the snail introduced into the episode, and was it a turning point in the episode?
Well, let's bring back the segment that was never a segment, snail sighting, until it doesn't matter. Once we see that there's no pattern, then we'll just be like, all right, probably next episode it won't matter.
Yeah, if the snail might just like be on a sandwich in the next episode, you never know.
He might. Ned, what else? Do you have any factoids for us? What do you got?
We actually nailed down a lot of really good factoids in our conversation. There was some like really good references in this episode that the Ice King did have a pear on his little computer, which was a reference to like a MacBook and everything. And
also like iCarly has the pear phone, so I'm sure it's just like a Nickelodeon entirely does pears. Oh no! Wait, this is a cartoon show.
This is Cartoon Network. Well, it's Cartoon Network. Like Nickelodeon didn't obviously copyright pear phones or anything like that.
Interesting.
I did like the fact that the episode was previously titled Hitcapades, which is a nod to like Ice Capades, which was the long running like ice skating show.
Mm-hmm. But that's what realized it wasn't that great of a pun.
But I always love dropping those in there because I realize how many episodes are renamed after their original naming. So it's almost, we've ended up at like every episode where it's been renamed at this point. There was an original name for the episode. In the original storyboard, the Ice King tries to distract Scorcher by saying someone got hit in the nuts. And that was one of my other facts. And the other really interesting, more like show fact about this one is it aired with the season 2 finale of the regular show, which was the karaoke video episode of regular show. But I don't think this one aired as a double with another Adventure Time episode. It aired like a solo or as in conjunction with the season 2 finale of regular show. So I was like, that's kind of cool that they...
that feels like a Dexter's Lab or like a cow and chicken type of thing. Didn't they do that a lot?
They do.
I don't know. I could be making that up.
2 15-minute segments.
Two different shows, like 11 minutes each.
Yeah. They could have done like, was that called Cartoon where they would do like...
Oh, maybe it was. It might have been a whole segment on Cartoon Network.
Yeah, where at least where that's maybe where Cartoon Network got the idea was like, we're going to do a half-hour segment, but didn't do 3 episodes of like the cartoons you love in a half-hour segment.
People could probably look this up if they wanted to. I don't really know.
I mean, this was post cartoon for sure.
Yeah, it was.
But I thought that was funny that they're still continuing to do that kind of thing.
Oh, Ned, I got a factoid for you. Actually, I looked it up.
Oh yeah, hit me.
The deer is my most punchable character.
The deer.
I want to live. I want to live. It bothered me. I don't know why. I was like, it just bothered me.
You don't like the singing bass heads?
No, it just bothered. Yeah, I guess I don't like the take me to the river. Those dudes.
Yeah,
weird.
The little.
No, I don't like
electronic singing fish.
It's a great way to ruin a good song. Whenever you have those electronic things that people can press the button and it's in your home and it's constantly playing whenever someone comes over.
I do just like it when
kill a song for you.
People have turned those things into Alexas, and that's really funny.
That is funny, actually. I wouldn't mind that.
But yeah, no, I get what you mean. It did, in terms of most punchable, it also felt a little off for this episode. I thought it was a really funny joke, but it felt a little bit like
land with me.
Yeah, it felt almost so out of left field it didn't land as well. Yeah. But let me. I'll ask you this though. We talked about Meat Man. I'm looking at all my notes here. We talked about Meat Man. We talked about Ice King in the future and being Simon. I do have to just figure out, like, did you have any lessons come from this one?
I've got one lesson.
Okay.
If you're paying $100 for a hitman, you aren't going to get the best hitman.
You're going to get...
It's just facts, man.
Knockoff Metroid Fusion hitman.
Ned, I love your fidget, your thing that 5-year-olds play with.
I know. I got it as I'm sorry, guys. I'm fidgeting with one of those little poppers, those little like circular poppers, and every time I'm on a call or on a podcast, like I can't not do it. It helps me. It does help me focus a lot more, though.
Well, if we ever have a visual element, people will see how ridiculous. I'm surprised I don't distract you because my hands are all over the place.
I'm ADHD enough to where your hands probably help me focus.
All right. Well, I'll keep doing it. I mean, if we ever get a visual element, I'm just like, I know I'm going to have to sit up straighter. I have to be more professional. I probably won't be. I know.
No, get out of here. People want that OG. They're going to see us. They're going to see me doing my podcast naked, you know.
See us at our worst. Oh, yeah.
See us at our worst. I had one lesson that, you know, I could pull out of it. It's a good lesson just in terms when you think about the whole scope of, especially when we get the Scorcher quote from the beginning that we talked about, you know, that your actions can have worse consequences when they are done out of spite. You know, the Ice King really just wanted to hit Finn and Jake, just because he was angry. You know, he's like, I just want to hit you, and that the kind of domino effect of him taking a spiteful action kind of dominoes into something out of his control. I thought that was, I mean, that's the lesson of this episode, and it is a little bit harder to pick up, but like, I mean, holy crap, like. He's like, I want to hire a hitman to punch you. And it ends up with like Finn and Jake almost dying 10 times. And that, like,
yeah,
you got to be careful if you want to do something to spite somebody. There's probably a lot of repercussions to the fallout of what could happen there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that's
like every cartoon ever has, or every like action anime ever has a scene where it's like, don't do it. You don't need revenge. It's not the path. Sort of a vibe.
Yeah.
I mean, and even in Avatar The Last Airbender, there's one toward the end of season 3, the final season. One of the last like 4 episodes has a small arc where Katara almost goes, if I messed up that name, we just finished it, but Katara goes and tries to get revenge on a now old man who was a general of the Fire Nation army who killed her mom. But now he's just this old farmer dude who hates his life and lives with a wife that he doesn't love. And it's just really pathetic. And she learns through going out and attempting the revenge that it's not the path. It's not the way.
Yeah.
But anyways.
And that's the lesson. Is like in simplified terms, exactly how you just put it is like revenge is not the way. Even when it's like something small, like punching somebody, it typically escalates to something out of your control and something that was a fallout or not your intentions of how you wanted that revenge to go down. So that, you know, that was for a not so serious episode. I had to have a serious lesson. I had to have something that like kind of brought us down to earth and brought us down.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold you to it though, because I don't even know how you would apply that to your day-to-day life.
Every time I want to kill Russell, I always think about this lesson I learned, and I'm like, I shouldn't hire hitman to go to Nashville and just, you know, murder Russell. Man,
that reminds me of a lesson from season 2 where don't trust your best friends.
It's all coming together. By the end of this whole podcast, Russell and Ned will be at each other's throats while
that's really why you moved down to Atlanta. We just couldn't stand seeing each other.
About to murder you.
All right, man. Let's get into our recs for this episode.
All right, hit me with yours.
Yeah, my recommendation is Old Enough on Netflix. If you haven't checked this out, it's amazing. It's so short. They're like 11-minute episodes of these little Japanese kids and it's all in Japanese, so it's subbed, right? And they just go and they're like 3 to 4 years old to like 6 years old. And they go and do little chores or go and buy things from their grocery store for their parents, and they bring them back to their parents, or they go and try and juice some oranges and bring it back to their parents. And it's adorable and funny and just an emotional journey in the most weird, ridiculous way ever. I love it. It's so good.
I have seen it so far. It is like, it like brings you back to like, humanity is amazing. you know what I mean? It's like, you're like, you watch that show after so many like depressing TikToks and news stories that you're just like watching these like little Japanese kids like go and do funny things throughout their like city and their towns. And it is, 100% would recommend that as well.
It's adorable. It really is adorable. If you need like an upper, that's a great little pick me up. So sometimes I'm like, oh no, the kid's crying, and I get like emotional.
You get emotionally involved.
Dude, I swear Allie had a tear come down on one of the episodes because we were so
it's so sweet.
Invested.
It's so sweet, man. I'd say, well, on the note of TV shows, I would say my rec comes from a TV show and is so fitting for this week too. We have literally binged through we're on season 3 of Barry right now on HBO. It is a show. It's with Bill Hader, and he is a hitman, which I thought was so funny that we were literally watching an episode of Barry before I hopped on this podcast. And he is a hitman that got into the hitman life by being an ex-Marine, made a really big mistake, basically killed some innocent people, and kind of gets guilted or, self-guilted into being like, I can never be a good person again. I might as well just be a hitman. And I thought the quote from Scorcher was so reminiscent of Barry's plot of like, he's a hitman, but he regret every time he kind of goes into a blind raged like murder, he kind of comes back and he's like, when he sits in his reality, he's like, this is not what I want to do. I don't want to be this person. When he gets the quote unquote reflections of his own actions, he doesn't want to be that person. So if I could give a great rec alongside the episode Hitman of Adventure Time, it would be the Hitman show on HBO, Barry.
Ned, it almost feels like you prepared a rec this week, and I'm proud of you.
I didn't even prepare it. I was going to make a reference to Barry. And I didn't make it earlier in the episode, and then I was like, "Oh, that can easily be my rec because we've been freaking it's written and directed by Bill Hader too."
I love that. I was fooled though. I was like, it's even called Barry. I'm like, it's another food thing. Ned's sticking with whatever's right in front of him or something food related. Okay, well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great. Yeah, that's one of my. I think I felt worse about piggybacking off of your rec being also a show,
Yeah. No, it's okay. I mean, I plan mine out.
Yeah. If you want my food rec, it's smoked bratwurst. That's what we have for dinner tonight.
I don't want it. That sounds good. Well, thank you guys, listeners. Thank you so much for following us and reviewing and all that stuff. It's helped so much. We've got to send out quite a few stickers because people have done Apple Podcast reviews. If you want to still do that, we'll shoot you a sticker. And we might do some other fun things for sticker giveaways in the future, and we'll see how it goes. But also, it's been incredible, Ned. We've had a number of new Instagram followers in the past 3 weeks. Instagram is taking over TikTok for us.
Yeah, it's been a good thriving micro community that I like a lot.
I think so. I'm getting a little nervous though, Ned. I'm feeling a little insecure. I need the travelers to help me out. Can someone share their favorite episode or whatever episode they're on of the podcast on their Instagram story? Because I'm like, are these just bots? Why do we almost have 2,000 followers? Are these just people that like Adventure Time? Or are these people that like us, the podcast, Never Ending Adventure? And are they travelers? That's all I want to know. But you can Instagram us at Never Ending Adventure Podcast or follow us there. TikTok at NeverEndingAdventureCast, Twitter at NEA_podcast. Email us at NEA.travelerslog@gmail.com for more Traveler's Log segments like we had earlier in this episode. We're on YouTube. No video element yet, but hopefully when we can afford it, and stickers for a review. I think we'll still post that here. We'll still do that.
Yeah, I'm sitting here staring at a stack of probably 140 stickers over here. So please, literally, we will send them out. I got envelopes, stamps, and stickers in front of me right now. I will send them your way. There's no longer a wait. You will receive them super quick. My mailman is wonderful. My mailman is the fastest mailman in the world.
Well, if you go out of your way,
literally, I've met 100 mailmen.
I hate it.
And he is the fastest mailman in the world.
I hate it. If you go out of your way to like, comment, subscribe, Venmo, we will. You don't have the Venmo.
Just Venmo me $100,
sticker, please. You just do everything. You're posting about us. You go sticker, please, and you don't even want to review us. We'll send you a sticker.
Yeah, well, you can actually. So stickers cost $100 a piece, or a review on Apple Podcasts. It's just one or the other. Yeah,
the currency exchange rate is ridiculous right now. Inflation, the economy. I mean, the economy is so bad.
Trigger words.
The economy is so bad. I mean, we'll be back next Tuesday, but Ned, all I can freaking do is just party forever.
And all I have in my